business news, and then I will come back with a business brief segment, and that will be followed by Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate. And then we get into the market trend segment with Emmanuel Boateng, our in-house economic analyst. And then we wrap everything up, as always, with our roundtable discussion. Newspaper. Let's look at some of the headlines making waves, and then we'll try to break some of them down. Now, starting, of course, the top story on the New Final newspaper says that IC research projects single-digit inflation for Ghana by September, and stories on page 11, and also IMF-backed utility tariff review, story on page 9 of the paper. And this one says IEA advocates ban on new mining leases to foreign firms, stories on page 7. And Accra to host Africa's top oil executive, story is on page 9. as well. And this one says that analyst urges shift from oil to inclusive growth, and also inspire. Don't pressure your children over education. And also, students not only wants to blame for exam malpractice, coming from Exam Ethics Country Director. And also, this one says the government announces 15 million Ghana cedis National Research Fund, and no plans to relocate Nankpanduri ambulance, coming from the minister. And no mining licenses in forest reserves under Mama. And also, Access Bank appoints Anati as Sundown Initiative Ambassador, and BOG suspended forex interventions, coming from President Mahama as well. And tax compliance vital for development, GRA urges public. And also, GIPC CEO calls on ambassadors to promote investment. And AGOA technically dead due to new U.S. tariffs, coming from President Mahama as well. Also, Deputy Lands Minister urges miners to support local businesses linked to mining. And IE advocates ban on new. Okay, I think I read that one already. Policy intervention needed in agriculture despite economic growth, coming from Merban Capital Head of Finance. And GAU calls for seafood worker unions to ensure protection. And Trade Minister urges investors to choose Ghana at Osaka Expo. And Gold Board's mandate must include buying from multinational firms, coming from IEA. And those are a few of the stories making waves this morning. On the international front, also in the New Finder newspaper, conservative activist Charlie Kirk killed in Utah University. That story actually broke me. But okay, this one says UN demands Taliban lift ban on local female aid workers. All right, those are a few of the stories in the New Finder newspaper. Let's look at some other portals. On myjoyonline.com, top story says that Ghana still reigns as Africa's gold king with 4.8 million ounces in 2024, coming from Chamber of Mines. And World Bank disperses $360 million to support Ghana's economy. And also, Mahama spoke the truth on Galamsey, coming from Adom Otri. And still on Galamsey, gold independence ties Mahama's hands on state of emergency, coming from Akwesi Konedu. And Ghana's debt to GDP ratio to fall to 60% by end of 2025. That's by the IMF. And also, Pastor and another in court over 700,000 Ghana cedis gold fraud. And also, this one says South African court rules that men can take wife's surname. Wow, very interesting. Those are a few of the stories also on myjoyonline.com. Let's look at citynewsroom.com. Top story says tariff hikes critical for energy sector stability, coming from the IMF. And also, Kennedy Japan is a transformational leader Ghana needs. Charles Bishu says that. And IMF projects Ghana's debt to GDP ratio to reach 60% by end of 2025. And Ghana Stock Exchange records 87% drop in August trading activity. And still on Galamsey, this one says enforcement of law has been terrible, coming from Daryl Bosu. And Africa must resist external manipulations and embrace after, coming from President Akufo-Addo. And Galamsey, back to Galamsey, economy sustained by gold, Mahama can't declare state of emergency, coming from Akwesi Konedu. And Mahama's Galamsey position disappointing. Eco-conscious citizens react to that. And also, Baumia says that I'm not responsible for NPP's poor showing in Boku Enclave. And those are a few of the stories. Let's look at some on the international front this morning. On BBC, it says that South Korea workers detained in U.S. raid head home. And also, U.S. energy chief tells BBC nuclear fusion will soon power the world. All right, let's look at CNN as well. Brazil's former president Bolsonaro convicted of plotting coup and sentenced to over 27 years imprisonment. And also, okay, all right, those are a few of the stories there. Let's look at Bloomberg Africa this morning. And Russia war games feed NATO anxiety after Poland drone incursion. Those are a few of the stories this morning. Let's try and break some of them down. I have joining me over the phone lines Abel and Soliwin Amodiok. He's a governance and policy strategist, and he joins me this morning to break down some of the headlines. Abel, good morning.
Good morning, Ralph.
How are you doing,
Can
my
you hear
brother?
me?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
hear you.
I'm doing very well. I'm
Mm,
doing very well.
great.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Mm,
Yeah,
thank you
I
too
think
for making time.
yeah, yesterday we couldn't connect, but
Yes, that's true.
it's good to be back online.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean on air.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, so but
Mm.
on that note, let's just start the conversation from the president's encounter with the media. I just want to pick your thoughts before we look at some of the issues that were discussed there that are making
Mm.
waves this morning. What was your reaction
Mm.
of the entire um, media
Um,
encounter?
I I don't know. I think before I made a point that the president is meeting his own people.
Mm,
That's a a space that he's very comfortable in. So if you want to judge him by his encounter with the media, um, you always say that the president is on top of issues. He understood what was happening across the breadth and length of the country, and
mm,
for me, I mean, that has not been in doubt. You know, in other instances, ministers would have been called to respond to certain questions. But the ultimate responsibility bearer is the president.
mm,
It is in him that the people of Ghana have put their trust to lead this country for the next 4 years. So I like the fact that he took charge, got the briefings, know what is on the grounds, and he responded to the questions that came. At the end of the day, it will not be said that it was a particular minister that made this pledge or that made this comment and not the president. The president is the ultimate bearer of any good news or bad news as far as the management of this country is concerned. And he did that to his best of ability. And watching from far, I think the engagement that I've picked so far from many people, um, it was a good, and from accountability point, you know, as a student of governance, that is also very critical. In fact, if not for that particular encounter with the media,
mm,
we would not have known that there have been some agreement, for example, that allows West African deportees to be brought to Ghana
mm,
as a first entry, and then maybe if they will exit or they will not exit. So such encounters I mean, creates awareness for citizens, especially if journalists stick to asking the difficult questions, asking the relevant questions. You know, in time past, journalists have been criticized for asking questions that uh, do not border much on relevant issues, you
mm.
know, but the the encounter on I think Wednesday, right,
Wednesday, yes.
was yes was you could see that many of the journalists were very prepared, solid questions. Um, these are not questions to say to make the president excited. The question, for example, on the economy, why the city recently is been depreciating after making a very strong rebound to somewhere around 10 cities, you know. And I recall the questioner, you know, the way she put the question.
Mm,
She asked the president that, is it true your critics have said you've massaged the city, you've artificially engineered
yeah.
the the appreciation of the city? Is that the case? If that is not the case, what do you have to say to it? You know, that was very blunt, putting it in the
Mm,
president's face.
yeah.
Difficult, straightforward, and those are some of the things that makes people proud. And you see the president answers the question. He's not angry about the question. Other people that said, no, it's disrespectful. No, 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 no. He went straight to it, tackled it, um, gave a very good response. And I think he reiterated a response he had given earlier when the city was appreciating. And I think that is what made his point consistent. And that is why people felt that his response to that particular question, people forget the question itself. Some people would have been very angry about the question. But the manner in which the president tackled the question, you know, he didn't even, I mean, put emphasis on how the question came. But the most important thing is accountability to the people of Ghana. And I think by and large, that was done. Some people have expressed opinions, divergent opinions with some of the answers he gave, that they were not satisfied. But that is what a democracy is about. A democracy is about disagreeing and agreeing, and doing so critically, constructively, without personalization among others. The president cannot get everything right. He cannot fulfill the exact sentiments of every citizen at the same time. So those things are bound to happen. Whether you disagree with him, you don't agree with him, that is the beauty of a democracy. In other jurisdictions, you wouldn't even have this encounter for the president to respond, for you to even be saying whether you are satisfied or you are not satisfied with the response. You understand?
Yeah.
And so, in consolidating our democracy, these are beautiful things that are part of the system that we must encourage. We must encourage the institutionalization of this. In fact, it is too formal for my liking. Some of these should become a normal thing. They should become a normal part of our everyday conversation. We don't even have to wait to accumulate issues. Do you understand? Once in a while, the president can just call for a media briefing in front of the Jubilee House or in front of his office. People generally don't even need to go and sit down and then and then meet. No, you can just call for a media briefing. You stand, they gather, they put some 2 or 3 questions to you on some particular issues. You answer and then you go. And then in the advanced democracies, that is how it runs. I recognize our democracy is relatively very young, very, very young, even if you compare it, because Fourth Republican democracy, it's like how many years? Since 1993. We are talking about 32 years of practicing this stable Fourth Republican dispensation. So relatively, our democracy is very, very small,
right.
very, 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 is negligible compared to other advanced, even within sub-Saharan Africa. I think we are doing very well if you compare us to some other countries, But relatively, we are very young. We are a very young democracy.
Yeah, of course.
We are trying to get certain things right, and we must encourage some of these things and find a way to institutionalize them so that they become a part of our everyday conversation, and that they are not seen to be a big deal, when they are done or they are not done,
Right. We can go on and on this particular one, but I want us to. Let's try and look at some of the key issues that were discussed, or questions that were asked the president and some of his responses. One of the things that came up so strong. The issue of Galamsey. If there wasn't any question on that on the day, I wouldn't have even believed that there was a media encounter. So we saw a lot of things centered on Galamsey and all of that. And the president said no mining licenses in forest reserves anymore. And I think that is something very commendable. I don't know if you'd want to touch on that. That story is on page 4 of the New Finder newspaper.
Yeah, I think he was very clear on that. And he said since his administration took over, they've not granted any license to anyone in any forest reserve.
Yeah.
And the forest reserves that have been encroached, there have been deliberate efforts to get people out. I think he mentioned one. The name skips me. One of the forests that, even though they took hold of, the Forestry Commission has been overpowered again, and people have gotten back into that particular forest reserve. As at the time he was speaking, he said all efforts were being made and being coordinated to get the people out, and then maybe to station some security people along the stretch so that the repeated invasion would not occur again. So I think, and he also said that if you looked at the powers that be, and I think that people, those who have said that the solution to the state of emergency is the way to end this all. The president's response also was that if you look at the power that is available to the executive to use in fighting Galamsey, they've not even used half of it. You understand? They've not exercised half of it, and that a state of emergency is a last resort when every action has failed. So the president, the one that is in the shoe, is saying that if you look at the powers that are available to me, I've not even used half of them in fighting this canker. So I was thinking that civil society, especially those in the area of environmental protection and those that have been so vociferous on Galamsey, will be calling for the president to exercise his full powers that can bring a stop, or at least, if you cannot even bring a full stop to it, see some reduction, some significant reduction in the activity. So I think that should be a laudable call now, that if it is not state emergency, and if it is not state of emergency, and you are saying that the powers that are granted the executive to fight this, you've not even used half of it. We want to see you use half of it. We want to see you use 70% of it. Do you understand? And when you have used 70% or 80% of it, tell us what you've achieved, and give us timelines. At what point can we have this done? At what point can we achieve it? I think we can be very constructive in getting the president and in getting the government to act, than fixation on the state of emergency.
Right.
I've spoken on that on this very platform before, that our overly fixation on the state of emergency is making us lose critical sight of other options that are available to us in this fight. And on Wednesday, the president spoke to that clearly. So right now, we should be demanding from the executive, show us, currently, what is the percentage of, in terms of the strength that you've used in fighting Galamsey, at what level are we? If it is not your full power, do you understand? At what level are we? At what level do we think that we can reach some significant we can make some significant inroads against this fight? At what level? And we want to see you fight it at that level. Then we can all judge whether a state of emergency is needless or is needful. So I think that is a conversation that those in stakeholders, and not, we are all stakeholders in that conversation. So maybe going forward, we must also start championing that campaign and calling out the presidency to fight the Galamsey with the powers that be, because it says it has the powers. It has not used half of them. We have been saying use state of emergency. You don't want to use state of emergency. So tell us, use your powers, and let's see how this menace can be dealt with and dealt with concretely. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think that a lot of people have actually supported, some people have actually supported the fact that, state of emergency is extreme. But another group of people, I think the anti-Galamsey coalition, I've also been saying that, hey, then it means that the president doesn't see the weight of the matter, and about the death of the 8 gallant soldiers who were on the event.
And I say that someone who have lost his lieutenant in the fight, how do you get the point I'm making? This is someone who has lost 3 of his ministers, have lost public servants who otherwise are serving the state. 3 solid and promising young public servants who have lost their lives in this fight, and then including 3 of his government, his party's officials. I don't think anybody can understand the weight of this fight more than the president, and I think it's a bit of unfair criticism. I've heard, I don't want to mention names,
right.
But Ralph, if you are in a fight against a cause and you lose your brother, you lose someone so important to you in that particular fight, I don't think that anybody who tells you that you don't understand the weight of that fight, I think it's an insult to your sensitivity.
Right.
And
anyway.
I don't think that the president is in denial. The president doesn't know what this fight is. But like it was once said somewhere, and today I don't want to quote people today, but it was once said that when you are not in government, you will not appreciate some of the issues. And that when you are in government and you have a balanced view of what is happening, you know that you have to protect certain things whilst you fight certain fights. You cannot always win certain fights the way you think that it can be done. And I recall some time ago when people went to town shouting incompetence in the management of the economy. When the economy was given to those people, we all saw what happened. So government is different from advocacy, and I have to make that point every day. And I have to make that point every day. Look at the oral, for example, the advocacy that was made. And you come to power, you cannot just go arresting people and putting them in court, in prison. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You must follow court process. The court processes, they are not yours to follow. Do you get it? They are not at the beck and call of the executive. No. You get there, a case is adjourned to like 2 months. What can you do?
What can you do?
What can you do? Legal vacation comes in. It's like 2 months. So 2 months, there have not been any, do you get it?
Yeah.
There's not been any court hearing. What can you do? So you see, so some of these things in government is different, way, way different. And that is why I think that public sensitization on some matters have not really helped. Because we must let people understand the realities of our system. It's a democracy we are practicing. So if you say oral, whilst oral must work and oral must succeed so that we can create, public trust can be engendered, and among other things, so that we can have faith in our political system and our democracy. It also means that you must follow due process. And due process means you must follow due process. And due process doesn't come easy. It's whining. And that is why they say in the legal balance that the wheel of justice was grind slowly. Very slowly. Sometimes you, the person that is the victim of injustice, it gets to a point you even feel like giving up. But we must not give up in this fight. Yeah, we must not give up. So let's see.
Right, of course. So there are some very other pertinent issues, but I'm looking at our time. But I mean, Galamsey is still strong. I mean, across the portals.
But there are also issues of security.
Yes,
online, especially the ones online currently, young people online fueling
hate speech and all of that. I'm working on something along those lines. So
it's on. I mean, my brother.
Matter.
Yes. I go online. Nowadays sometimes platforms like Twitter. In fact, I don't even have a TikTok account. A lot of young people ask me, "Hey, you're a young man. Why are you not on TikTok?" I said, "No." In fact, my Twitter account, I can't go on Twitter and follow much of the stories. Not because I don't have heart, but sometimes when I see some of the things, the commentary by young people on the hate speech and the insults, then I say no, I don't. So sometimes I restrict myself to traditional media. You find me on traditional media. Of course, traditional media now also have online portals. So you are able to go. For example, you can go on Zed online. And you can go on that. Like this morning, you've read from My Joy online, City online, the 3 News online, CNN online. So sometimes that is what I do. I go on those traditional media, try to get some of my stories, and then maybe watch TV a lot or listen to radio, because there I have confidence, because they are guided by some ethical rules and also some statutes that govern the work that they do. At least I'm assured of some consideration before certain things. Yeah, some of them also do go the extreme, but like the president is calling, some people have also called that there must be new regulations for the new media. If not, we'll be in. And I like the call that the National Signals Bureau, the president has directed National Signals Bureau to start tracking some of these people. What I don't want to happen is when they start arresting people, then it takes political stage. Do you understand? Because I have strong belief, even though I don't have evidence, that some of these things are done by political people
right
behind the scenes. attempting to create, and not only those in opposition, even those in government. Sometimes, maybe somebody doesn't like a particular minister, he wants to get the minister out of the system, so they engineer all sort of things. You see, propaganda is allowed to a certain level.
Right.
But you see, when you add tribal sentiments to it, when you add, hate speech to it, then you are creating a problem.
That's
true. Because look, we've just lost a very young life in the U.S.
Yeah,
and
Charlie
I think people have said some commentary about his death have not been fair. But if you look at the commentary that has also come from this young man, you see, because when your speech creates hate among people, you cannot tell people how to react. And that is the unfortunate thing. Right. And we don't want to get there. Absolutely. So I think on security, those were also addressed. And going forward, we must also look at it very critically.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, we have to go now. Really grateful that you made time to talk to me.
Thank you very much. Today is Friday. As usual, as we say, we don't advise anybody on Friday. But it's Friday. We must do what Friday. If people do things on Friday, we must go and we must work and then go back, relax during the weekend, regroup, re-energize.
Monday.
Get energy, re-strategize, and come back strongly and work for God and country.
Right. Yeah. Abel, thank you very much. We'll talk more on Monday. All right, that was Abel Ansolowin Amodio. He's a governance and policy strategist, and he joined me this morning to break down a few of the headlines. Up next is business news with Samuel Ainchi. Please stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samuel Ainchi. Coming up shortly in the bulletin, IMF projects Ghana's debt to GDP ratio at 60% by end of 2025. And also Ghana Stock Exchange records 87% drop in August trading activity. And also World Bank disperses $360 million to boost Ghana's economic recovery and resilience. Now let's settle for the details of the story. Starting off with IMF, the International Monetary Fund says Ghana's debt to GDP ratio is expected to settle at about 60% by the end of 2025, following the country's recent debt restructuring program. An IMF Communications Director, Julie Kozak, told a press briefing in Washington that the agreement has significantly eased Ghana's debt burden, improving debt service indicators and opening the door for investment inflows. She, however, emphasized the need for fiscal discipline, stronger revenue mobilization, and tighter public financial management to sustain these gains. The Bank of Ghana data shows Ghana's debt stock stood at 613 billion cedis, or 43.8% of GDP as of June 2025. Still in the IMF, the International Monetary Fund has endorsed Ghana's proposed electricity tariff adjustment, describing them as critical to fixing inefficiencies and attracting investment into the power sector. The IMF Communications Director Julie Kozak told reporters in Washington that the increases are needed to prevent the buildup of energy arrears and ensure financial stability. The fund also pledged support for broader reforms, including private sector participation in the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECD. The comment comes as the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PRC, considers new tariff proposals with adjustment expected to take effect from October 1. Now, away from the IMF to the World Bank, the World Bank has disbursed $360 million to Ghana under its International Development Association, IDA, to support the country's efforts in restoring macroeconomic stability and laying the groundwork for long-term resilient growth. The funds were released on September 11, 2025, as part of the second Resilient Recovery Development Policy Financing DPF operation. And this follows approval by the World Bank Board in June 2025 and subsequent ratification by the Parliament in July. This latest disbursement forms a critical component of the World Bank's broader engagement in Ghana, aimed at supporting post-crisis economic recovery and enhancing structural resilience. The key objectives is that the financing seeks to address four core areas: restoring fiscal sustainability through improved public financial management and enhanced domestic revenue mobilization, and also strengthening the financial sector and promoting private investment to support private sector-led growth and economic diversification, and also improving energy sector financial discipline to ensure efficient management and long-term sustainability of energy operations, and also building social and climate resilience by integrating climate considerations into public policy and boosting social protection systems. And also, according to the World Bank, the program supports a targeted reform agenda that will promote fiscal discipline, enhance investor confidence, and strengthen key institutions across the economy. Particular emphasis is placed on stabilizing the financial sector, promoting private enterprise, and addressing the long-standing challenges in the energy sector. The financing is also intended to support climate-smart policy reforms, helping Ghana align with global sustainability standards while building resilience to future economic and environmental shocks. A report from Parliamentary Finance Committee dated July 2, 2025 described the loan as part of a comprehensive support package that includes investment lending and technical assistance. It complements the earlier budgetary support provided under the first Resilient Recovery DPF and aligns with ongoing reforms under Ghana's International Monetary Fund program. Looking ahead, the World Bank facility is expected to play a pivotal role in stabilizing the economy, creating jobs, and steering Ghana back onto a path of inclusive and sustainable growth. It reaffirms the international community's continued support for Ghana's reform agenda during a critical phase of recovery and transformation. And to our last story for the bulletin, the Ghana Stock Exchange witnessed a steep decline in trading activity in August 2025, with volumes and values tumbling from July levels. Official figures show that 45.9 million shares valued at 203.6 million cedis were traded, representing an 87% drop in volume and an 88% decline in value. Despite the monthly slowdown, year-on-year performance remains strong, with volumes more than doubling and value traded up nearly 16%. The GSE Composite Index gained almost 5% in August, extending its year-to-date growth to nearly 50%, while the Financial Stock Index dipped slightly. Top gainers included Cocoa Processing Company, Intravenous Infusions, and Trust Bank Gambia, while EcoBank, Transnational Cowbank, and Unilever Ghana were among those who lost. And that'll be all for the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. But before we go, let's take a recap of our top stories. IMF has projected Ghana's debt to GDP ratio at 60% by the end of 2025, and also the Ghana Stock Exchange has recorded 87% drop in August trading activity, and the World Bank has disbursed $360 million to boost Ghana's economic recovery and resilience. You can get more business news on www.zmultimedia.com. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms, ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X, Zed Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. I am Samuela Inchi. Thanks for listening.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Dream home. No interest for 2 years. Are you ready to step into your dream home? With Lakeside Estate's exclusive offer, you can own your own home in just 2 years with no interest repayment. This offers you affordable payments, flexible home purchase plan, quality homes, and lifestyle choice. Choose from a variety of beautiful homes in any of Lakeside Hills clusters. Your future awaits you. Imagine living in a home you love with the freedom to invest in your dreams without the burden of interest. As your CIMG Real Estate Company of the Year for the 4th time, we offer you hassle-free home acquisition. Call us today on 020-477-5040 or 020-141-8622. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour for our available homes. T&C supplied. Make your dream a reality. Lakeside Estate. Quality homes for all.
Are you an entrepreneur, a CEO, a C-suite executive, or a game changer shaping industries? Ready to share big ideas, connect, and uncover new opportunities? Then get set for the 2nd edition of the CEO's Breakfast and Networking Meeting, themed The Rise of the Conscious Leader, Power, Profit, and Principles. Highlights include raffles and irresistible prizes, complimentary books from speakers, exclusive networking with CEOs and industry leaders, interactive sessions on business growth and ethical leadership, plus a full breakfast and buffet lunch. Date, Thursday, 2nd October 2025, inside La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time, 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Space is limited. Register today and lock in your early bird discount before 22nd September 2025 at ceonetworkingevent.com. Don't just attend an event, be part of a movement redefining leadership for a new era.
Zed 101.9 FM.
watching? Are you watching? Watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you dreaming high? Let's go. Put your microphone down.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Are you moving up? Are you moving? Let's go.
101.9 FM.
Somebody scream. Hey-ya, hey-ya, hey-ya. Are you sure? You can stand it. You can stand it if you lift it high. You can stand it if you lift it high. Lift his name higher. Lift his name higher. His name is bigger than Buddha. He's bigger than demons. His name is Jesus. Higher than everything. Higher than cancer. Higher than prostate cancer. Higher than disease. Higher, higher. Lift his name high. Lift his name high. Every knee bow at the mention of his name. Every tongue confess that he's Jesus. Every knee bow. Every knee bow. Every knee bow. Hey-ya, 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 hey-ya. Hey-ya, hey-ya, yeah. We'll lift you high. At the mention of his name, every knee must bow. At the mention of his name, every tongue confess. At the mention of his name, sickness must bow. As we lift his name higher, his healing reign. As we lift his name higher, sickness must bow down. You lift his name high, demons must bow down. At the mention of his name, witches must bow down. At the mention of his name, foreigners must bow down. At the mention of his name, at the mention of his name, at the mention of his name, every knee must bow down, and every tongue must confess that Jesus is Lord. We lift your name higher, 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 higher. Go, higher, higher, go crazy, go crazy. Higher, higher, we lift you high. Go crazy. Higher, 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 higher. We lift your name up. Higher, 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 higher. We lift you high.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Minister Mercy Kiwa. Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? No, I don't think you're ready.
Thank you very much. So let's get into our business brief segment this morning. And I'm really glad you tuned in this morning, because today we're talking about something that on the surface may look small, maybe even optional for some people. But trust me, it's not. We're talking about bonding in the modern workplace. Bonding in the modern workplace. Now, let me ask you something this morning. How many of you have gone to work, sat at your desk, or logged into Zoom? You've done your tasks, you've attended your meetings, you've sent your emails, but at the end of the day, you felt like you were on an island. How many of us have felt like that? You're surrounded by people, but not really connected. Does that sound familiar? If that sounds familiar, then I'll be honest with you, I've also been there before. And the funny thing is that I know I am not alone. In fact, a lot of people are going through the motions at work these days without ever really feeling like they belong. And here's where it gets interesting. The modern workplace is evolving. It's no longer just about clocking in and clocking out. It's not just about KPIs and deliverables and all of those things. Right now, it's about people. The modern workplace is about people, real people who are stressed, who are creative, who are searching for meaning in the work they do. And in this fast-paced culture, the one thing that can make all the difference is bonding. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bonding, isn't that just a fancy way of saying maybe fun and games? Isn't it the distraction that takes you away from real work? Well, maybe that is what it used to be, or what we used to think. But listen to this. Research shows that when teams bond, companies see 21% higher profitability. I think I should repeat that. When teams bond, companies see 21% higher profitability. Now imagine that, not just a happier workplace, but a more profitable one. And that is research. Now, when employees feel they belong, turnover drops by almost 50%. When they feel like they belong, the research says that turnover drops by almost 50%. That is half. And that's fewer exit interviews, less recruitment stress, less money spent replacing staff, and all of that. And the key or the secret is bonding. And here's my favorite one. People who say they have a best friend at work are about 7 times more likely to be engaged. And I love this one so much. People who say they have a best friend at work, they are about 7 times more likely to be engaged. Not twice, not thrice, 7. 7. And that is huge. So hear me, bonding is not just nice to have anymore. It is actually the difference between a team that drags itself across the finish line and a team that sprints with energy and creativity. But here's a problem. In our world today, with hybrid schedules, remote logins, tight deadlines, constant notifications, if bonding feels like the first thing, to go, we don't have time for that. We will do it at the end of the quarter, maybe at the retreat. And before you know it, months go by and you've got people who work together, but they don't know each other. And when that happens, stress goes up, creativity goes down, and people start quietly disengaging. And so could that be the reason why a lot of people are disengaged at your workplace? Could that be? And you know what disengagement costs companies worldwide? About $8.8 trillion dollars. About $8.8 trillion a year in lost productivity, according to Gallup. And that's 9% of global GDP. So just let us think for a moment. So when you hear bonding, don't think distraction. Think investment. Start thinking growth. Think of it as the oil that keeps the machine running smoothly. That is it. Bonding. That is what it is today. Now let me make it more personal. Have you ever worked at a place where you actually look forward to seeing your colleagues? Have you? Where you laugh together, you encourage each other, maybe even shared meals or celebrated wins together. Have you ever worked at a company like that? And compare that with a place where everybody is just serious, everybody is just robotic, all business, no fun, nothing, no smiles. Everybody is serious when you get into the office. Everybody is serious. They're looking at their PC. They are typing, doing all the things that they have to do. Which one do you think gets more out of people? Which one keeps talent longer? Which one? Now, Helen Keller once said that alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. And that is not just a sweet quote. That is actually workplace strategy right there. And Henry Ford put it even more sharply. He says that coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. Coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. And you see the progression. It's not enough to just come together. You have to keep together, and that is bonding. That's exactly what bonding is. And also, Biz Stone. Now, Biz Stone is one of the founders of Twitter. And he said this. He says that when you hand good people possibility, they do great things. When you hand good people possibility, they do great things. But here's the trick. People don't feel possibility in a vacuum. They feel possibility in relationships, in trust, in bonds, and in environments that make them say, yes, we are in this together. And that's a very important thing. Now, don't worry. I'm not about to give you a list of team building games or tell you to plan karaoke nights or whatever. That is not the point of today. The point is to get you thinking. That is exactly what we're going to do today. But here's a question I want to leave with you. What would actually happen if your workplace made just a little more room for bonding? Not as an afterthought, but as a culture, as part of the culture of the organization. Would stress go down? Would ideas flow more freely? Would Mondays feel less heavy? Those are the questions I want to leave with you this morning. But I'll tell you this. The organizations that are asking those questions right now are the ones that are seeing the results. The ones ignoring it, they are quietly bleeding talent. They are losing innovation and struggling with disengaged staff. And here's where I stop. How do you do it? How do you integrate bonding into a modern workplace that is hybrid, that is digital, that's fast-paced, without it feeling forced or fake? And more importantly, how do you measure the impact so that it's not just fluff, but a real business strategy? And that is exactly what we'll unpack during our roundtable discussion. I promise you it's going to be practical, it's going to be eye-opening, and it might just shift the way you think about work. So please don't go anywhere. Keep your ears tuned in and keep your eyes on our live stream, because when we gather for that conversation, we're not just talking about why bonding matters. We'll talk about how to, we're going to explore how it can actually transform your team, your people, and your business. So please don't go anywhere. Stick and stay. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH. You may want to visit the platform, share the link or drop a comment there. And also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you on your thoughts on this. And then when we get into our roundtable discussion, we talk about it a bit more. So that will be all for Business Brief this morning. Up next is Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate. Please stay tuned. All right, thank you very much for staying with us right here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. Tetanate is ready to bring us transport today. Solo,
Yeah, Ni.
good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm very good this morning. What about you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I heard you talking about bonding
Yeah.
activities in the workplace,
Yeah.
and I think it's very good,
Very
thing
important.
to implement in your workplace
Mm.
because there's a saying: "All work and no play."
Exactly. Oh boy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that helps us to bond as a team when we are in an organization
True.
and all that. So I think all CEOs, managers, and all that should listen to the conversation, and I'm very sure that it's going to transform and also impact their organization as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
That's why always you need to listen to Z1.
Absolutely. We're all about your business and success in your organization. And so that is exactly what we'll be discussing this morning. So please make sure you tune in. If you know anybody that must hear this conversation, feel free to send them the streaming link on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Or you can tell them to tune into 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
And you have no idea the kind of the audience and people that actually listen to us. Sometimes you may imagine when you pump into some Trotskys and all that, and they've tuned into Z. I tell you, and they are listening.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday, the conversation like this, I was in one of the cars, and trust me, they were listening. They were all listening, and you could see that they were actually concentrating on the conversation and everything. And I think it's very nice thing to do.
That's great.
In fact, if you have a car, if you are a trotro driver, listen to Z.
Absolutely.
And I'm very sure that if you listening to Z, will help you to
transform your business. Yeah, your
a lot of people will
will
body your car because you always tune into Z.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is the only station that is concerned about your business.
Exactly.
So whether you are running the trotro business, whatever you're doing. This is the only station that is concerned about your business. We don't make noise here. No noise. No. Just value. We bring you value from time to time. So make sure that you continue to tune in. If you're a trotro driver or you're in a trotro this morning and you're listening to us, we love you and we cherish you. Please do well to continue listening to Z101.9 FM. And as you go about your day, we pray for you that you excel on every side. God bless you so much for listening to us. And okay, let's get into transport now.
So talking about business, if you're a business owner or manager, definitely you might go to any of these cities and then have some meetings and all that. So that's why we have the flight schedules for you to listen and then know how to plan your way around the day. So I'm giving you the flight schedules for Passion Air, and that's local flight schedules, and also Africa World Airlines. And I'm starting with Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. So Accra to Kumasi Passion Air starts from, or the morning schedules are 6:20 a.m., 8:50 a.m. and 11:20 a.m. 6:20 a.m., 8:50 a.m. and 11:20 a.m. Afternoon schedules are 1:50 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. and then evening schedule is at 7:20 p.m. and that's Passion Air Accra to Kumasi, and it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Takoradi morning schedule 6:20 a.m. and then afternoon schedule is at 4:40 p.m. and it takes 50 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Sunyani morning schedule is 9:10 a.m. and then afternoon schedule is at 1:40 p.m. and it takes 1 hour to get to your destination. Accra to Wa has only one flight available for the day at 9:30 a.m. 9:30 a.m. and it takes 1 hour 40 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Tamale, morning schedule 6 a.m. and then afternoon schedules are 12:20 p.m. and 4 p.m. 12:20 p.m. and 4 p.m. and then the evening schedule is at 7:10 p.m. and that's Accra to Tamale. It takes 1 hour 20 minutes to get to your destination. So these are the local flight schedules for Passion Air. Let's look at Africa World Airlines, how their schedules also looks like today. So Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi morning schedules are 6:20 a.m., 8:40 a.m. and 11:40 a.m. 6:20 a.m., 8:40 a.m. and 11:40 a.m. Afternoon schedules are 2:20 p.m. and 4:40 p.m. 2:20 p.m. and 4:40 p.m. and then the evening schedule is at 7 p.m. So Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi has 3 flights in the morning, 2 flights in the afternoon, and then 1 flight available in the evening. And it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Takrady, morning schedule 6:40 a.m. and then afternoon schedules are 2:10 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. and it takes 40 minutes as well to get to your destination. Accra to Tamale, morning schedules are 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and then afternoon schedules are 12:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. 12:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. So these are the local flight schedules for today. Now let's look at the traffic situation in town, and today we are looking at Accra Central, around Makola, Aslam Down, Accra New Town. These are the areas that we are looking at, how the traffic looks like in that area. And so currently on the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, there is traffic around that area, or on that stretch, I mean, to do. So if you are using the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, you are going to experience traffic around that area. Graphic Road is also very busy at the moment. Graphic Road is very, very busy at the moment. So if you are on the Graphic Road, you are likely to experience heavy traffic around that area as we speak. So that's the traffic update on that stretch. Liberia Road is also very busy at the moment. Liberia Road, especially where the Museum for Science and Technology is located, getting close to the Accra Technical University. On the Liberia Road, there's traffic on that stretch as we speak. So you should take note of that if you want to use that road. So that's the traffic situation around that area. Accra New Town on the Isawem Road is also very, very busy, right from the ABC Transport Lagos to Car Care Service Circle branch. So if you're on the Isawem Road, right from the ABC Transport past the Car Care Service to Telecel Ghana office at Circle, there's massive traffic on that stretch as we speak. If you are from Insawem, heading towards Circle at Accra New Town, so you should take note of that. Ring Road is also very, very busy at the moment. Start from Papa's Pizza Ring Road branch to Circle overhead is very, very busy as we speak, so you should also take note of that. So that's the traffic situation over there at the moment. Castle Road is also very busy at the moment. Castle Road is very busy at the moment. Heading towards the Ridge Roundabout is very busy at the moment. You should take note of that. Independence Avenue is also very busy as we speak. If you are from Sankara heading towards Ridge or heading towards Mokola, you are to experience heavy traffic on the Independence Avenue, but there is free movement if you are from Ridge heading towards Sankara, so you should take note of that. So that's the traffic update for today. Now let's look at some stories trending in the transport system. So South African Airways is to offer 2 additional flights on the Johannesburg Accra route to meet growing demand during the upcoming festive season. So starting on Wednesday, October 1, 2025, South African Airways will increase frequency on the Johannesburg Accra route from the current 4 flights per week to 6 flights per week. So the new flight days are Wednesday and Friday. So these seasonal uplift culminating on 11 February 2026 are designed to offer customers greater flexibility, convenience, and choice during one of the busiest travel periods of the year. And also, airlines worldwide are gearing up to deliver faster, smoother passenger experience with the launch of SITA Connect Fly, a next generation managed connectivity service designed to cut check-in delays, boost data security, and streamline airline operations. So developed by CETA in partnership with Visa Networks, a global leader in secure access service edge technologies. CETA Connect Fly replaces outdated, costly network with a secure software design system built for speed and resilience. So this is a good news from or hearing from the airlines worldwide. So these are the stories actually trending this morning in the aviation sector. Thank you so much for hosting me.
All right, thank you very much, Solomon Tetenati, for bringing us that. Exactly 7 minutes to the top of the hour. This is a business breakfast on Zed. If you just tuned in, we have a lot of things still in stock for you. Up next is a market trend segment, and then right after that, we get into our roundtable discussion. Please don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick music break now, and then when we return, Emmanuel Boateng will join me for the market trend segment, and we continue our conversation from yesterday. A very important conversation. Please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Ooh, 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 yeah. Double, double.
speakers, uncover new opportunities, and also gain practical insights to scale your business. If you're that person, then don't miss the second edition of the CEO's Breakfast and Networking Meeting themed The Rise of the Conscious Leader, Power, Profits, and Principles. And it's a transformative event exploring the balance between influence, profitability, and principled leadership while equipping you to lead with impact and integrity. Now, there are exciting raffles and draws with irresistible prizes, complimentary books from speakers, and exclusive networking with CEOs, industry leaders, and many more. The date is Thursday, 2nd October 2025, and time is exactly 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Space is limited, so do well to register today to lock in your early bird discount before 22nd September 2025. And to register, please visit ceonetworkingevent.com, ceonetworkingevent.com. And don't just attend an event, be a part of a movement redefining leadership for a new era.
The dawn is broken down.
But continue to enjoy It's My Turn by Reverend Thomas Yosing. And when we come back, we have some more conversations. Please stay tuned. Ghana Statistical Service, and let me just mention a few of the items in there, and then we try to continue our conversation with our in-house economic analyst. Now, we saw that Ghana's economy grew by 6.3% in the second quarter of 2025 compared to 5.7% a year ago. And even more striking is that non-oil GDP expanded by 7.8%, showing that the economy's strength is increasingly coming from services and agriculture rather than oil. The services sector led the way with nearly 10% of growth, powered by ICT, education, health, and also financial services, while agriculture grew by just over 5%. Industry struggled, dragged down by more than 22% contraction in oil and gas. And then on the expenditure side, household consumption and investment surged a bit, and net exports recorded an extraordinary increase right there. So we've been asking that, what does this mixed picture tell us about Ghana's economic recovery, and what are the risks and opportunities that lie ahead? And that's exactly what we tried to break down yesterday. We continue the conversation today and go even deeper. And Emmanuel Boateng, who's our economic analyst, joins me over the phone lines for this conversation. Emma, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm well, by God's grace.
Great.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to hear from you too.
All right. So yesterday we started a conversation. We spoke extensively. We talked about exactly the big picture, looking at the numbers really and how significant they are compared to recent years and all of that. We touched a bit on some of the sectors. We talked about the service sector. We talked about the agriculture sector. Today, I want us to continue the conversation looking at the industry. We see that industry was the weakest performer in all of our growth, expanding only 2.3%. Thereabout. I want to know, what exactly are the challenges dragging that sector down?
Thank you very much. The industry, the industrial sector's sluggish performance is a reflection of the persistent structural challenges that we've been talking about over the period. You see, we have an industry that is heavily driven by mining and quarrying. Is that okay? And sometimes, to a larger extent, oil and gas. If mining and quarrying and oil and gas, which is more or less like the main engine of that sector, contracts, then the whole industrial sector comes down. We need some more work to be done along that area. So that area or that sector didn't perform well because mining and quarrying contracted by about 2%, and oil and gas also fell by more than 22%. And that alone, those two subsectors alone, overshadow the gains that we have made in electricity and construction, and that is what is leading to the overall industrial growth of just 2.3%, lesser than what we recorded in the first quarter. Now, a key subsector that is influencing this underperformance is the oil sector, where maturing fields and lower production volumes continue to weigh on the outputs that we see. And additionally, high cost of energy and input costs affect manufacturing. And manufacturing, I'm talking about agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, and the like. Because you see, for any manufacturing concern or manufacturing company, one of the things that helps them to engineer what they do is electricity, power.
Right. Yeah.
Every organization needs electricity to be able to produce what they ought to produce. And once the cost of electricity is high, and I'm sure when we did the inflation analysis, we realized that had gone up. On Monday, we had a discussion on a new tariff that has been introduced by ECG to PURC to increase electricity tariff by 225%. All of this put together helps us to understand the difficulties that may be there. So once this is happening, your per unit cost is high. Many things are likely to happen, one of which we know is that if workers are not laid off and the manufacturing concerns continue to operate in the way they operate, then it means that their output capacities would slow down because they may not have enough space to be able to produce more than they can. And that will weigh down on the total output. You see, the whole GDP thing is aggregate demand. aggregate output, production levels. That is what economic growth is all about. And so once that is not happening, that is how we'll see that manufacturing has not yet stood to its feet. It has not yet recovered after COVID, after the pressures they have experienced from inflation, among others. Construction did show some level of resilience with about 6.5% growth.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a reflection of some of the infrastructure projects that are ongoing in the country, among other.
Hello?
Yeah, and as we saw, electricity also doing some good growth levels, about 6.7%. I mean, suggesting some improvements in the power area. It is still not enough. It's still not enough.
Right.
You see, my whole challenge about our industrial sector is the fact that it is highly dominated by the extractives, mining and quarrying. Literally, it's a challenge because although that may be bringing us revenue in terms of commodity exports, the big mark or the big question remains: how many, what proportion of our entire population are employed in the extractive sector relative to the ones we see in agriculture, the ones we see in agro-processing along those value chains?
Yeah.
And I think that is why we need to do some more work there.
Some
Our
more
whole
work there.
industrialization campaign, we need to relook at it. Literally, we still live with a structure that was built before we attained independence. Have we truly gained independence? The structure Ghana lives on today, you know who built that structure? We call him Sir Gordon Gottisberg.
Yeah.
So many years ago. And it is all about export. See, we are very heavy on exports. We are not thinking about how do we translate these things into semi-finished and finished, like adding value to our primary commodities. And that is where industry comes in. And so agriculture is picking up, but you don't see industry responding, and all of a sudden services is picking up, and services contributing more than any other. And that is a big issue. And this has been the data for many, many years. And we need to correct that. Industry is the, you see, we heard about the fourth industrial revolution, among other things. That is how economies grew. That is how economies did better, among others. And if we really want to do better, then we need to pay attention to some of these things. And that is why I think we need some strong attention to agro-processing and along those places. That will really create jobs and will really engineer proper growth in the industrial space.
I see. So there's a lot of work we have to do in terms of industry. Now, I see that oil and gas also contracted more than 22%. How much of a concern is this for our Ghana's growth outlook and maybe revenue mobilization?
All right, thank you very much. The sharp contraction in oil and gas is a serious concern. You see, oil revenues, as we traditionally know, are a major source of government financing.
Yeah.
We can check our books and see the contribution of oil to our revenue in total, and you would note that we get a lot from oil.
Right.
It's like without oil, our economy may go in limbo. So we need to pay close attention to that. A 22% reduction means that we would earn less royalties from oil. We are going to earn less revenue from oil. That's the revenue that comes through taxes. And also foreign exchange inflows is going to go down. It may partly be explained by what we are seeing, because today our currency is not behaving the way we want it to. So that also gives further evidence to that. Now, it puts pressure on our fiscal position. We don't have enough space to spend on the things that we want to spend on. To put it differently, it gives government less options on its spending, the plans it has to spend. So perhaps in our budget, we have a certain revenue target, and part of that revenue was going to come from oil. But oil is not doing too well. Then it means that how do we get money to be able to finance that? Either you borrow or you don't do the project at all, and we know what is going to happen. So it limits the fiscal position of the government, especially given our reliance on extractives or revenue from the oil sector to service our debt and fund our major infrastructure projects here in Ghana. And then from a growth perspective, the oil sector, the decline in that area is actually dragging down industry and the overall GDP. Because once we see the extractives do well, one of the things that we notice that the general GDP will also pick up. And that is why we have been saying that a GDP growth that is heavily dependent on extractives that are whose prices are dominated or determined by global prices is more one that is resilient to be able to engineer our growth. We need to make sure or ensure that our growth capacities are coming from sectors that are employing a large proportion of our people, sectors that are not susceptible to external factors. And that is really what we need. So what is going down, what we see is that based on our current economic structure, everything seems to go down. So highlighting our vulnerability to some extent. And I think it's also calls attention to diversify in the long term. We must accelerate our investments in renewable energy, agro-processing, manufacturing, so that we can be able to offset the diminishing returns from oil. Otherwise, fiscal and external balances could come under renewed strain, even if non-oil growth looks healthy. And in the short term, we may need to revise our oil revenue assumptions and strengthen our domestic revenue mobilization. Let's look within and grow within than depending on external factors to grow our economy.
To grow our economy. Right. Okay, let's try and touch on the expenditure side as well. Now, I saw that household income grew by 12.2%. Does that indicate some stronger consumer confidence, or could it be driven by something else?
Well, the increase in household consumption suggests improved consumer confidence. I mean, of course, you can only consume when you have. And that is likely explained by the inflation, the fact that it is reducing. Because like we say, when the inflation is going up, it means you have little space to consume because a few things, your money is gone. On the other hand, when the prices of goods and services are falling, then you have a greater space. So we can use inflation to explain that. The fact that inflation is coming down supports consumers to be able to consume, and therefore household consumption improves as a result. But in addition to that, the relative stability, because this the data we are looking at is between April and June, or from April to June. That is the second quarter. And in that period, the city was, I think, the strongest currency, I think, globally or so. So if you look at it that way, that also helped consumers to be able to, as it were, increase their consumption levels. So households began to feel the relief in their purchasing power, and that allowed them to spend more. It may also reflect a high demand after years of constrained spending due to high inflation and high levels of economic necessity. You see, when stability returns and people see or people are relieved, they have the space to spend. Definitely, it soars up spending levels. But I also want to suggest that it's likely part of that growth may be coming from a point of necessity rather than choice. You see, rising population as we have it in Ghana and seasonal spending could inflate consumption figures without reflecting significant improvements in living standards. That is also another thing that we may have to look at, otherwise we may be making wrong assumptions or maybe interpreting it wrongly. That also is important. So we must interpret the data carefully. Yes, it's signaling a recovery, but not necessarily a robust increase in disposable income. To put it differently, people's income have not really gone up. So, I mean, to understand it, you need to be careful. Otherwise, someone will be listening to us. I think that I say our consumption levels have gone up, but is that true? No, it's not that their incomes have increased, but at the same income level, the other things that impact the income are getting better. And you see, consumption in itself boosts economic growth. So if we're able to sustain what is happening, we'll be able to drive economic growth to a very high level.
All right. I see. Okay, let's touch on the gross capital formation too. I saw that I can see that also rose by 17.1%. What do you have to say to that? Does it signal a real recovery in investment, and where exactly is that coming from?
Well, a 17.1% increase in gross capital formation is a strong signal of investment activity.
Yeah.
It reflects both public infrastructure spending and a rebound in private investments, particularly in construction and, as we saw it in the data, ICT-related projects. Indeed, the services sector or the service sector's expansion also suggests that investments in digital infrastructure, education facilities, and healthcare infrastructure are contributing to capital formation. In addition to that, FDI in sectors like fintech and mining could be playing a key role as well. It is encouraging because, you see, capital formation drives future growth by expanding productive capacity, and it is also aligned. It also aligns with the IMF program reform, which aims to restore investor confidence through macroeconomic stability. Our real challenge, however, is to ensure that this investment is efficient and broad-based. If it is concentrated in a few sectors or regions, then the benefits may not be widely felt. So to those handling our economy and the policymakers at large, we must foster an environment that channels investment into agriculture, into manufacturing, and renewable energy.
I see. So that is very important to do. Let's look at the implications of all of these things we've been talking about, because maybe there's somebody listening to us and they're wondering, okay, what's all this? I also see that net exports surged over 690%. How should we interpret that figure, and what does it mean for our trade balance as a country?
No, thank you. We should interpret it very carefully. We can understand that the performance of the FX explains some of these things. But even more, it shows that we did a lot more exports than imports, and so our net position would be more favorable. You see, when imports slow, and whereas exports are growing, then net exports will increase significantly. And that improvement helps narrow our trade deficit and strengthens our balance of payments. It also improves our foreign exchange reserve, which supports the strength of the cedi. In that sense, it is a very positive outcome for macroeconomic stability. However, what we really need is sustainability. Export growth is still concentrated in primary commodities. In other words, where is the export revenue coming from? It's coming from gold. It's coming from cocoa. These are primary products. And that is not sustainable. You see, it is not sustainable because these products are very vulnerable to global price volatility or fluctuations. At the same time, reduced imports may reflect weak demand for capital goods, which are crucial for industrialization and agenda. Because for you to industrialize, you need some capital goods, you need some solid capital projects to undertake, among other things. And you need technology and factories, among other things, to be set up, many of which we do not put together here in Ghana, many of which we import from elsewhere. And so the reduction in imports could also mean that we are not demanding enough capital goods to support our industrialization. So while the net export figure is impressive, it must be interpreted very carefully. The key is to build on this by diversifying exports into value-added products while gradually increasing our imports of productive capital goods and that supports our long-term growth agenda.
So looking ahead, what risks could slow down this growth momentum, and what are the policies we think we need to sustain it into the next year?
Well, thank you. Very interesting question. From what we said, we can see that we are relying heavily on primary commodities, gold, other minerals, cocoa, among others, that have not been further processed or refined, if you like. the risk with that is that you face the risk of commodity price fluctuations. You see, external commodity shocks, higher oil prices, tighter financial conditions. It will, as it were, disturb your export revenue. It's not going to help you gain or get more from exports. And so we don't need to be dependent on that. And so that is one of our major risks. And that is why I'm advocating for we growing from within. Let us strengthen our local economies. Let us grow our local economies. Let us identify the strengths of each of our regions or the local economies, and let us develop it to its fullest. Let's optimize what we have and make sure that the growth we are recording is not coming from money that is coming from elsewhere as a result of we exporting a certain product from Ghana to that place. But it is coming from the work that is being done by Ghanaians here in Ghana, for which they are being paid at significant income levels. When our growth is supported by ourselves, you see, that is a good story to tell.
Right.
But when our growth is engineered by or is coming from external factors, literally, it's not sustainable because any hit in the global market would hit us.
Right.
And therefore, bullets that are thrown outside the continent of Africa will mean a lot to us because we have failed to develop our own economy.
Okay.
I think the other thing is that we need to be disciplined when it comes to our policy. If we don't maintain a high level of policy discipline, to put it differently, I think we will be in trouble.
Right.
We know how governments could, how do I even say it, could abandon their plans and start doing things that they didn't plan on doing. That is not healthy for us. At least we've seen some of these situations in the past and how it left us borrowing excessively, among others, putting a certain level of pressure on our CD. Our CD depreciated by more than 99%, among others. We do not need all of that. Then we need to pursue some structural reform. You see, we need to invest in infrastructure. We need to invest in energy stability. We need to industrialize. It will be key in sustaining or anchoring our non-oil group. We need to support our SMEs. We need to expand our digital and agricultural productivity so that it will broaden our base from which the growth of the economy is seen. See, if these policies hold, Ghana could sustain growth rates above 5% in 2066, with the potential to break into single-digit inflation and stronger investor confidence. But it will require a high level of vigilance. It will require a sustained level of discipline from the fiscal side and strategic investment in productive sectors of this economy. But let me add that perhaps not better than what we've seen in the first quarter.
Why do you say that?
Let's wait when the results come out.
All right. Okay. Ima, thank you very much. Please take very good care of yourself, and really grateful that you joined us this morning. All right. That was Emmanuel Boateng, in-house economic analyst, and he was helping us understand exactly what the GDP figures that have been released by the Ghana Statistical Service mean what do they really mean to us as a country and as a people. And he said a lot of things. And so, but if you miss any part of this interview, please visit our social media platforms. We are on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. And you can drop a comment there. You can play back and drop a comment there, and we'll do that. We'll do what to read for you. Okay, so the show continues. We'll get into our roundtable discussion. And like I indicated earlier, we're talking about bonding, the integrating bonding into the workplace. And so if you're a business owner, you're a business leader, anybody at all that is in the business space, then this particular conversation is for you. You may want to stick and stay, get to learn a few things and see how that can benefit you and your business. We'll take a quick music break, and then when we return, the show continues. We'll get into our roundtable discussion, really. Please stay tuned. 9 minutes to the top of the hour, and we'll get into our roundtable discussion. But the song in the background is Praise Medley by Team Eternity Ghana, just in case you want to check that out. We get into our conversation this morning, and today we're talking about something very, very important. We're talking about something that I think we often overlook at work. For so many people, it's something we push to the background, and we're talking about bonding, not just hanging out, but real connections that can actually boost productivity, reduce stress, and also make people love where they work. Now, in many workplaces across Ghana, we focus so much on the tasks and the targets that we often forget the human side. It's often do the work, make sure you meet the target, and then that is all. But studies show that employees who actually feel connected are far more engaged, and they are less likely to leave the job. So the question is, how do we build that culture of connection in today's fast-paced workplace? And that is what exactly we're going to talk about this morning. I'm joined by 3 individuals to discuss this at length. I have in studio Melvin Mauli SL, and he is a human resource professional. And also joining me over the phone lines, I have Mary Ekia Ahimadazi. She is an HR professional as well. And then I have Na Okaile Okaite. I hope I got that right. She is a psychologist and corporate well-being trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Melvin, great. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Oh, by grace, I'm fine.
All right. Okay, let me hear from the ladies as well. Mary, good morning. Hello?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you too?
Yeah, I'm very good. Good to have you back on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
All right. Let me hear from Na as well. Na, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good.
Hello?
And can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Morning to you. It's good to hear you this morning.
Great. I think the line is breaking a bit. Maybe you may want to position yourself better, and then we can have a conversation. But let's start the conversation of why do you think that we push bonding to the back? And I'll start with Mary. Hello, Mary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. The question again?
Yeah, I'm asking that why do we often push some of these things that the bonding we're about to talk about this morning, why do we often push them to the back?
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, let me say hello to our listeners and a very good morning to my fellow experts on the call. Okay, so honestly, I think that sometimes organizations push bonding to the back because they think that it is always about result, right? What are our targets? How much have we achieved? What is the percentage that we have achieved, and what is the way forward? So the concentration has always been about the goals and the things that we have been able to achieve, forgetting that it is the people who would achieve these goals that we have set, or the objectives we have set for the organizations, right? And so if these people are not in the right mind, psychologically or emotionally, how do they achieve these things? But yes, like I said, it has always, it has always been about the goals, and the profits the organization stands to gain. Mainly, that's the reason why it is pushed to the back.
I see. Do you have anything to add to that, Melvin?
Yeah, I think I align with what Mary just said. I think organizations are always focused on the goals, the objectives, the targets for the year, and how much they have to make as profits, forgetting that it's the people that are going to drive that performance or the results the organization would definitely need.
Right.
So that is why most organizations have taken it back. But then it's very integral to the whole the whole how should I put it? The whole package to as to why an employee would feel connected and want to be in the organization.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very important. Now, do you have anything to add to that?
So I think it's actually been exhausted.
Okay. Right.
However, the only thing I'll add is that for business owners and businesses in general, they also thrive on a part of the business culture that is self-preserving. You understand? And for every business entity, just like a human being, they'll apply self-preservation. In applying some of the principles, I think they overlook the impact of the how well their human resource or their human force is and the impact that it has on actually driving some of their goals. So Mary, Melvin, they've actually exhausted it, but I only want to add the preservation parts that usually it's what drives some of these. Unfortunately, we lose the well-being of staff in driving some of these.
Right. Now we your line keeps breaking, so we have to struggle to hear you and get exactly what you're saying. But I think I get whatever you're saying. So maybe try positioning yourself better, and or maybe reconnecting. I don't know, but just try doing something about the network, and then we can continue the conversation. But okay, let's start off. I mean, I know we've all shared why we think that people are pushing it back, but let's try to understand exactly what it is. And then now we can go into some other parts of the conversation. Now, bonding, of course, means different things to different people. For some, it's just like a Friday hangout. Some people is just trust that they get to trust their colleagues and pour their things out to them. Let me ask you, Melvin, tell me, what exactly does it mean, bonding? What does it mean to you personally and also professionally? Very important.
Okay, personally, I would say bonding personally would mean building a relationship with myself, somebody, or even the organization. But from the workplace point of view, I would say bonding are formal or informal activities that has a purpose of building relationships, building trust and collaboration amongst employees and the work at large. So that's where I'll pick it from.
You pick it from.
Yeah. Because we have formal activities that gives employees the sense of belonging and feel like this is a company or an organization I can trust.
Right.
Yes, and we have the informal ones that are very fun, lively, brings everyone together, merrymaking, and then they are more of climate. It means that after those activities, they could forget about it. But we have some bonding activities that leave a lasting impression on the minds of the employees. And I think that these are activities that organizations should also incorporate in their HR strategies for the people, like recognition. It sounds so formal, but then it's a good way to make employees feel belonged and trusted by the company.
Okay. You are also a human resource professional, Mary. So what is it the same for you? What does it mean to you personally and also professionally?
Okay, thank you very much. I side with my brother, right? So bonding in itself is about creating relationships with people. Believe it or not, human beings, we are social beings, right? And we normally thrive in social interactions. And so in the organization, in as much as we have all been employed to do certain things, different roles and responsibilities, we cannot do it without the people around us. The more reason why we need to create some sort of relationship with these people, some sort of trust, because everybody wants to be in a place where they feel that I am part of this family, right? That is why the bonding always comes in place, to sort of sort some of these things. And so bonding in the workplace is mainly to let people understand that I belong here, give people some sort of security that I feel part of this family. Okay. So, I mean, generally, that is all it is about bonding, about the relationship, about having some sort of sense of belonging and, security and all of those things.
Right. So it looks like then it's something very important that we must incorporate into the workplace. But let me come to you now. I mean, from a human behavior perspective, why do people even need bonding at work? Shouldn't they just come and do their work and go? I mean, the workplace is not somewhere to make friends and all of that. Why do people even need bonding at work?
So establishing an enabling environment for, I hope my network is okay now.
Yeah, I think it's clearer now.
Okay, so establishing an environment, right, for people to feel seen, felt, and heard is actually one of the things that studies have shown adds value productivity in our workplaces. It helps companies achieve their targets. So even from a psychological point, you realize that when the person's mind feels safe where they are, where they feel connected, where they feel that they can trust the systems and the systems also trust them, you are highly likely to find that you find the best out of that person. You are to receive the best version of the person always at work. In fact, the brain in itself works to produce hormones that are aligned to some of these targets at our workplace. If I feel a certain type of way at my work, it registers in my brain that this place brings me stress, or this place is a threat to me. And the brain automatically will begin to release chemicals that will continue to make you feel apathetic about that place. But the moment the brain feels safe, naturally, it will also provide that the safety net for you to continue to be your best and to produce your best in that place. So gradually, I think workplaces are beginning to identify that this is a gap, and they are looking at creating systems to improve the well-being of their people. But we are still lacking behind a lot of work to do. In fact, workplace stress is the leading cause of illnesses amongst working class people right now, and it's a key thing we need to look at. So I'm actually happy that we are having this conversation. It is bringing ideas to the table for companies to look at creating systems. Let's not make bonding, coming to chit chat at the work and go away, but let us make systemic policies that include the well-being, the emotional, psychological, and even the physical structure of our workforce, so that we are getting the best out of them at the workplace.
Right. Okay. But what exactly happens to employees when they don't feel or when they feel disconnected from their colleagues? Is there something that happens to them psychologically?
There is. Like Mary said, human entities, we all thrive on connection. So it's like a magnetic force that keeps attracting, and then now we have to also establish, in as much as we are some way somehow competitive at the workplace, the main aim of the workplace is for us to create collaborative networks, so that when I'm making more targets than you, we are still collaborative partners. It doesn't make me better than you. It doesn't make you inferior to me. But we realize that there's a lot of competition in our workplace, and it's unhealthy. So people will still come, joke around, crack jokes, gossip about trending topics, and there's still this crack amongst them when it comes to delivering on the job. Because if I let you know what I'm doing, what if you become better than me? What if you get promotion before me? What if this? What if that? What if the manager likes you better than me? And all these things sometimes are, other times profound, and you realize that it doesn't bring the best out of every team. So if we are rather looking at collaborative networks, human beings will thrive on the positive energy. And the more we create positivity in that workplace, the more we get the best results from our team.
So that means that if people feel disconnected, then they won't put in their all in the work that they do.
Exactly. And psychologist who has worked with many people in the corporate space, a lot of staff, the only thing driving them to their workplace is their salary. The only thing that is making them show up every morning is what they get paid at the end of the month.
And that's a problem.
It is a problem. If the only thing motivating your staff to come to work is the salary you're paying them, then that company needs to sit down and look at things.
I see. So let's also look at the flip side more specifically. I know you tried to touch on that when I asked the first question, but how does the opposite of that, how does bonding really influence the creativity that people bring on board, influence the stress level? Does it affect their motivation in any way?
So when we are bonded, we feel connected. When we are bonded, there's trust. And I even made examples with some hormones that the body produces once you feel safe at a particular place. You understand? So once we focus on that holistic aspect of building capacity for our staff, then the chances that even staff shortages, staff calling in sick, staff absenteeism and presenteeism. Some people come to work, they are there, but not. You understand? Some of these things impact the overall, whether KPI or achievement of the company. So bonding, I think Melvin mentioned that it can be formal and informal. Usually the informal one, it will just keep us afloat for a while. But formal ones, which are more structured and systemic, you realize that when staff feel that in whatever decisions that are being made, in policies that are being processed across the companies, it factors them at the center of it, and not because you need to make money for us. You realize that staff will, it's a nature thing. It's very easy for us to come on board and give our best when we feel connected, we feel safe.
Right.
We can even a love affair when you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I was saying that we can even take it like a love affair. That when you love someone and you feel safe with a person, it's very easy for you to give your all to that person. And that's the kind of energy we have to bring into the workplace so that from our people.
I see. Right. Thank you very much. Now, I'll come back to you shortly, but let me go to Mary now. Mary, have you seen cases where now has touted the positives of this on the person's, the employees' well-being and their creativity and all of these things? Have you seen cases where bonding activities actually backfired? Because there are times that people will feel pressured to join these activities. Sometimes they will feel left out and even embarrassed. Have you seen instances like that in your work?
So the thing is that for everything that has advantages also has disadvantages, right?
Right.
But in terms of bonding, the advantages always outweighs the disadvantages. So yes, there are times where there will be some of these challenges that you have mentioned, but again, we are looking at the long-term impact, right? So sometimes you would have some of these challenges, but there are always ways in which we can address some of these challenges. And so some of these bonding activities in the workplaces helps a lot. Like I said, the advantages always outweigh the disadvantages. So because there are a lot of different people in the organizations, especially different generations, different backgrounds, there are some activities that you would want to do, but some people may like it, others may not like it. That is why it's always good to meet these different types of people at a point, right? So you have to ensure that you meet them in the middle to get the acceptance, because without them the activity won't also happen, okay? Or the impact you want to do would be very difficult because they are not coming on board. But like I said, even if there are disadvantages, the advantages outweigh them. And then again, you have to ensure that you meet these people at a point where everybody would want to participate in it.
So how do you do that? We're going to talk about that when we get, when we go very deeper into the conversation. I want us to still set some things, some ground, put some foundations in place. So we'll talk about some practical ways to actually do this. And then you tell us how we can have that meeting points for all the kinds of people that are in the organization. Because culturally speaking, Ghana is very big on hierarchy, and respect. And so I know how relating, maybe in an office, you have to deal with your manager, and in a bonding, maybe an activity that you are putting in place or you are doing, and how difficult that is going to be. But does that make bonding easier anyway? Does it make it harder to integrate? The fact that we are culturally interested in the hierarchies and the respect thing, does it make it difficult, Melvin?
Definitely. So we have and we have a national culture, but then when it comes to the organization, we also have organizational culture, and organizational culture is basically how the company, or is basically how what happens in the company,
right.
Basically the culture. So every organization has a culture. Culture is like personality.
Okay.
So there are things that cannot be seen, but it's how it's what we do and how we feel about the place. Some organizations have core values that incorporate some of these things. Like if you have an organization that respects friendliness, for instance, it means that you would have you live in a way, or the organization will be positioned in a way that would be adaptive for employees and subordinates and superiors to hang along, but then work would be done. So it's easier for organizations like that to do activities like family fun day outs, where you incorporate a majority section of the generations. So you have the Z, Y, and X coming together, bonding. It's all because of the kind of culture the organization has presented for its people. So it's easier for them to bond that way. But unfortunately, as you were saying, we still have some organizations that see it like, oh, I'm the boss and you need to take my authority and instructions. So those would be the downside, but it's largely on culture. How does the organization do things? So once they do things that are incorporating bonding activities and everything, it should bring people together, and team bonding in itself, it's part of the 360 ways to retention. So bonding is a very, very important metric for retention. So yes.
You talk about 360. Just you want to just explain what that is.
So basically, we have some should I say checklists to measure if an employee would love to stay, and bonding, feeling belonged is one. Benefits and compensation is another.
Okay.
Growth. Do I feel like where I am, I'm seeing growth? And a whole lot more. So this are just a few of the 360 metric I'm talking about. So bonding plays a very key role, because once I don't feel belonged, I don't think I would want to give in my all. And as my sisters were saying, some people just come to work because they know they'll be paid at the end of the month, and that is what motivates them. So once we take bonding out of it, we are losing out, and we are losing our people. So
Okay. Let me come back to you, Mary. I mean, you also have your own experiences. I want to know, in your practice, has that thing played out, the hierarchy thing, where everybody feels like, hey, this is a boss, this is you have to respect their leadership and all. Does that make bonding easier or harder to integrate?
Yes. So the thing is that in my experience, there's been two things that has made it very difficult. One is in terms of the hierarchy thing. So sometimes some senior members or senior management would okay, let me even start from this point, right? So the senior management, there's a management and then the rank and file. Now, some of these activities, okay, some senior members would want to, okay, maybe you should just engage the others, they wouldn't want to be part, right? And there's been instances where there are some activities that you'd want to do, but some section of employees will tell you, oh, okay, I think it's a good initiative, but if we are sharing the money, it would help us because we need money. Okay, so I'm just trying to bring these two things on board that sometimes these are some of the challenges we face. Okay, so I mean, from my own experience, these are the two challenges that I sometimes
that you have seen. All right, exactly 18 minutes after 9. This is the Business Breakfast on Zed. If you just tuned in this morning, I'm having a conversation with 3 individuals and 2 HR professionals and a psychologist. And we're talking about integrating bonding activity into the modern workplace and how important that is and how you can actually even practically do that in your workplace. And we said a lot of things so far, but we still have some more conversations or some more things to talk about before we go. But I would love to hear from you. If you have a message, please feel free to send me a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, or you can call me on 03039 56641, 03039 56641, and then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You can drop a comment under the post and I'll read them for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them as well. Yeah, we'll continue the conversation now. But let me come back to you, Mary, on this one. Now, I want us to talk about organizational strategy proper. Now, some people don't take this bonding seriously, and I think that's how we started this conversation. Why do you think companies should actually take it very seriously in their strategy?
Okay, thank you very much for that. So with this question, I'm going to link it to what my brother was saying earlier. When a company wants to take bonding seriously, let's link it to culture, right? Culture is the way of life of people.
Yeah.
When you bring it to the organization, culture is the things that we believe in, our values, our attitudes. So it's culture in itself talks about how we do things, how we live, how we do ABCD, right? And so if an organization wants to take bonding seriously, they must link it to their organizational values, attitude, what are some of the norms and the few things that happens in the organization. If as an organization you are saying that you believe in inclusivity, you have to ensure that you come up with bonding activities that include everybody regardless of your rank, regardless of your status, right? If you're saying that one of your values are respect, teamwork, and all of those things, make sure you're coming up with bonding activities that people will feel respected. Make sure you're coming up with activities that brings about teamwork. Okay, so if an organization want to take care of bonding or to take bonding serious, it is all about linking it to your culture. Personally, again, to add up to all the things that I have said, if an organization also wants to do something like that, it is one thing to say something and another thing to actually do it, right? But saying it doesn't, we really do not see the impact. Saying it has no impact. But if it's in action or if you're doing it, that is when we would believe that this company says they believe in respect and that is what they are doing, right? So if it's your culture or it's your value, you have to make sure that you are doing it for us to see. That's what I'll share about the question.
Okay, let me bring in Melvin now. So tell us, you may want to add your thoughts to what Mary just shared. Why is it important? Why should every organization have that, bonding, puts in place bonding activities in their strategy?
I mean, just like what Mary said, it's culture. Like it's necessary for companies to include that. And I think one thing that we have to know is bonding is not an event. It's a way of life. It goes on a daily basis, monthly, weekly, yearly basis. So it is important to put it in the strategy, whether it's a 5-year or 3-year plan, and then in the first year, what are the key things we want to do? What can we do on a weekly basis to keep people feel engaged? Now we are more of a hybrid system of work. How can we include the online engagements or the online bonding to the physical bonding? So it's very important. And the kind of world we are now, people want to feel connected. People want to feel engaged. So not including bonding is like missing out on your targets by 50%.
I still think that I want us to make a case for this, really, and that is why I keep asking the same question. What exactly does it do to your organization, really? What does bonding do to your organization? I know we've tried to highlight a few of them here and there, but I want us to make a case for that. What exactly does bonding do to your organization?
I want to make it practical as possible without using the organization.
Right.
But then it's just like being in a relationship. What would bonding do to you and your partner in a relationship? So when you put it in the perspective of the organization, it makes you feel like this is what I call home. It would be very beautiful for employees to feel like this is their second home. You know, we all have different experiences in life,
right,
and everything. And for some people, maybe their homes are not so peaceful as we call it. So having an organization that really prioritizes its people would make people want to even work for longer hours.
Right.
So that is how important it is. If you want to achieve your targets and your monetary goals as a company, it's best to include bonding as part of it. It's so integral to the life cycle of an employee.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me come back to you, Mary. And now we'll come to you shortly. Okay. Mary, so paint a picture for us. Okay. What is the difference between a workplace with strong bonding and versus one that doesn't have anything like that? What would it look like?
Okay, so the workplace with bonding is a place where, like my brother mentioned, it's going to be like a family, right? So people are going to feel part of the family. Again, it is going to create some sort of attachment, like emotionally. Okay, people are going to feel attached to the organization so much so that it would be very difficult for them to move out, because at the end of the day, they feel like if it's about trust, if it's about respect, if it's about being valued, I get all of these things aside the salary and the benefits that I'm getting. So why would I want to go out there or go into an organization where I don't even know what is I should expect, right? So with the organization that has bonding, it sort of creates an emotional attachment between the organization and its employees. Okay. And one thing that we really do not pay attention to is stress. If an employee is stressed, it affects the output. Now, if company A is interested in bonding activities or in their the things that they have set for the organization, there are some sort of bonding in it for the employees. What you realize is that these activities are going to help the employees, in terms of they're reducing stress. Because, like my brother mentioned, that there are so many things happening around us. Like, let me bring it to our normal lives. There's so many things happening, especially now. Work is demanding, family is demanding. If the employee is schooling, school is also demanding. In fact, relationships, friends, everything is pulling you here and there. And so it makes it very difficult if the person is not a focused person. It becomes very difficult navigating all of these things. And so if the person comes home and the home is also chaos, right? Every time the person is stressed, every time the person is not happy. And this home, I'm not talking about the person's home, I'm talking about the organization where we are calling home, right? And so if the person comes to the organization and there's these activities where this person is, feels trusted, feels valued, has some sort of attachment, it really helps in out. If the second organization, which is company B, do not have all of these things in place, what we realize is that people will be moving out, employee turnover, high employee turnover.
Right.
Everybody is just all about, I'll do my work and just go home.
Just go.
There are some organizations where you go and when my brother Melvin does not come to work, I don't even know, because like, who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about each other, right? So if company B is not having these bonding activities with their employees, this is what is going to happen.
Right.
So I believe I've been able to paint the picture.
You've painted a very vivid picture. Thank you so much. Now let me come to Now, some managers actually say that, hey, we don't have time for this. What do you have to say to that mindset?
Again, we will look at it from that cultural point that as Ghanaians, in fact, as Black people, we have still not come to accept that our well-being is paramount to us. It is actually part of what keeps us sane and keeps us as human. And I will not blame managers that say that. It will just mean that they are yet to evolve into a culture that accepts or acknowledges that well-being is a key part of your functioning as a human being. And if you are not concerned about the well-being of your staff, and even you as high level management with regards to CEOs, owners of companies, even them, their well-being is also very key to the progress of their companies. You realize that Mary talked about stress. Stress is one thing that makes people very irritable. If you have that boss who comes in and he or she is always angry, the slightest thing throws them off. They shout at everyone. Nobody finds them approachable. And for you to function with them, you have to walk on eggshells, or you always have to be on the edge. You will not bring the best out of your people. So I want to send this as a gentle reminder to managers or owners of companies, and entreat that we add a well-being system to the very things that keep our companies running. Because if your staff are performing at their optimum level, you, the manager, you even have very little work to do. They will drive the force of your goals for you. They will keep your company going even in your absence. But the moment they are in a hurry to leave work, everybody's watching the time, 5 o'clock, papa, we are going. And there's no motivation to even come to work. There are people who literally have to drag themselves up every morning to go to work. And again, the thing keeping them is that if I don't eat, I will die. So let me go so that I can have food on my table. Not because I desire to add value to this company. So we need to look at our systems. We need to look at the structures that our companies are built on. That in as much as we are looking for the money, we are looking for the output and everything. What is the input? What are we putting into our staff so that they can bring out what we require for them to do to keep the company going? If your systems or your values align with the quality of staff that you want, you will definitely invest in it, and you will not see it as a waste of money or waste of time.
Right.
At the time you are investing,
Hello? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. At the time you are making investment, it will sound flimsy, but the result thereof is going to give you multiple folds of turnover or out that you don't even expect. But at the time you are putting in the systems, you are investing in trainings, you are investing in capacity building, you are even investing in professionals that are coming to attend to the issues that confront your clients or your staff. You realize that it will take a pinch on you, but give yourself a little bit of time. It's a seed you are sowing. So if you're a manager, you are this program, find this an investment you have put into your company, and it will tell in the medium to long term years of your company. It will bring you the folds of return that you might even, it will blow your mind. But at the time you are putting in that investment, you will cry a little bit, just like you do for every investment.
Right. Right. Thank you very much. The comments seem to be going to only the leadership. I want to ask Mary, you're an HR professional. I want to know, what role does leadership play? Should bonding always be championed by, those are the top, or should it be championed from the top, or can it also grow bottom up?
Okay, thank you very much. So, leadership has a very big role to play in terms of bonding because, first of all, if you want to organize some of these activities, if you want to do it without the buy-in of leadership, it's going to be very difficult. And we work in an organization, right? And so there's some sort of hierarchy or some sort of approval that needs to be given before these activities can take place in the first place. And so if leadership is not in alignment with bonding, or is not in alignment with what you as an HR want to do, it will be very difficult because, first of all, approval wasn't given. Secondly, aside approval, we are humans, we're all in an organization. If I see that my team lead or my head of department is interested in this particular activity that we are going to do, okay, it pulls the other people along because the leader is so much enthused about it. That's why leadership has a very big role to play. Okay, if they accept it, if they are willing to come on board and all of that, it makes it very easier to pull the other members along. Again, it is not only about the leaders occupying certain positions. Even with the rank and file, we have people, when they say yes, the other staff moves along. The person is not a senior member, but when this person talks, his colleagues or other people accept it. So these are the kind of people that we are talking about. These are the kind of people that we need to really push the bonding agenda, right? So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay, right. Let me come to you, Melvin, now. So if there's I'm sure there's some CEO, somebody listening to us right now. What are some of the mistakes that we make when we are trying to incorporate bonding into the workplace? So if you want to advise somebody who is listening to us as a CEO, what would you tell the person?
Okay, so I would say the CEO should be part of the bonding process. So let me
the big man should come and actually...
The big man should be part of it. So the big man should be able to even steer the conversation with HR. Can we do like a football match, or can we do like quarterly celebrations for our staff members? I want to champion it. I want to be there with them. I want to be there to wish them happy birthday in like a quarter. Trust me, your employees are going to feel special because culturally speaking, as my colleagues also said, people see that, hey, why is my boss, my boss? So once the boss brings himself with all humility, it would make the people feel like, oh, this man is a very good man. He is thoughtful, and it's the emotions. The whole thing is emotions. You feel like it's an emotional attachment. That's why I try to use the relationship example. It's like an emotional attachment you have with the company. That is why when some people are leaving some companies, they cry because they have bonded so well with their superiors, their subordinates, with everybody, including the security man. And you see people giving them gifts. If they are bosses,
Yeah.
they should tell you how impactful they were and how even their subordinates really bonded with them. So that's my advice to the big man up there. Yeah.
Okay, all right, very interesting. Exactly 37 minutes after 9. This is a business breakfast on Zed, and this morning we're talking about how to integrate bonding activity into the modern workplace. If you just tuned in, please send us a WhatsApp with your messages, your questions, your comments. 0544321019. 0544321019. You can as well send me a voice note if you so wish. 0544321019. Or you can call me on 03039566641. 03039566641. And then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please do well to drop a comment, and then I'll read that for you. Okay, let's talk about some of the practical realities now. What are some of the simple, low-cost activities that some Ghanaian organizations could actually, try right away? Yeah, you were talking about football match. Maybe there's a company they can't go and organize a football match now. But what are some of the small activities that they can incorporate into the workplace?
So let me say it from a point of view where a company is not really the kind of company that has the culture of the team bonding. I think that the leadership can start with a little chit chat where they can have some
unwinding section.
Yes, okay, just to get feedback from employees or staff members on how they feel about the company. Do they feel attached to the company? So these are ways to get the information from them. Then we start working on it. So simple activities like a football match shouldn't be so expensive. Simple activities like sending out mails, recognizing their efforts, because we are looking at how to get their emotions to feel like this is where I belong. Noticing small wins from your staff members just to acknowledge them. These are not really expensive things to do. So we can build it up from there, and then we look at the big ones where we can do like simple movie nights. We can do some Heritage Month. So that's where it gets bigger, because now it becomes a culture, not an event. So yeah.
Okay, let me come to you, Mary. Mary, do you have something to add to that? Some of the simple things that they can do.
Okay, so I side with my brother. So some of these things that are not, the cost is very low. Knowledge sharing sessions, where there's identity, of course, because it's all part of pulling them along. So yeah, knowledge sharing sessions, the games like you mentioned, maybe time with CEO, all of those things. The cost is not so much, compared to other activities.
Okay. So there are basic. I know there are also some basic games that people can play, but there are instances where maybe a senior employee doesn't want to join. They feel like the younger people, and that brings me to the question I said I was going to ask you when we talk about the practical stuff. And I see a similar message here on Facebook. This one is coming from Albi Ashon. She says that team bonding is very important. However, what do you do when some old employees of the team feel like they cannot mingle with new employees or younger folks? And exactly the question I was going to ask, how do you come to that meeting point you were talking about earlier, Mary?
Okay, thank you very much. So with this particular question, I'm going to go back a bit to some of the things that I shared.
Okay.
So first of all, if you want to take care of this particular issue, the first thing to do is HR has a seat at management, right? So management will have to sit down and structure what will every department, the head of department do? Because I believe that when you give people, when you assign tasks to people, that's when you can call for an accountability, right? So when you have a discussion with the heads or senior management, all right, you need to let them understand that ABCD is what we want you to do, or we expect from you with this particular activity that we are going to do. If that senior member knows that one of the things that I have to do for this particular activity is to ensure that I bring my people on board, or to ensure that I am available on this day, on this time. The person will come. Even if he or she does not come, there's some sort of accountability that you are going to demand from that person, right? So I think that's one of the ways of handling it. Personally, that's what I think.
Okay, let me come to you now. Now, so like I said, not everyone wants to join. Some people just want to do their work and go home. How do you include them without forcing them?
It starts with organizational culture. That when these people know that there's a culture in this company where we are a family, where we see each other as colleagues, even though one person's hierarchy might be ahead of the other, we see each other as, as a fraternity where we get to speak to each other with respect, but then we can still freely speak to each other and then have meaningful conversation. The moment that ice is broken, no matter how old, how how disconnected this person feels, just give them time. They'll begin to soften as time goes on, when they see that, okay, these things are actually fun and these people are not out there to disrespect me because or by me partaking in it. Then they'll gradually begin to find themselves in some of these spaces. And I might be saying this from my experience working with companies, that even the CEOs are able to come down to that level and then mingle with regular people, mingle with even the smallest person in the company, maybe the cleaner, the person directing a car park and all of that. And it doesn't mean that staff can easily disrespect you, but it's a certain culture, it's a certain environment that they find safety in. And they'll feel free to share. You will also feel free to share with them, share your experience, because you want to see your staff grow. You want to see that you are adding value to the lives of the people that are working with you and for you. So it's about creating a system of trust in that environment, where even the older people feel that these Gen Zs are not, look at them, they will just walk over.
Yeah.
But once they find that they can trust the people that they are working with, and everything is built on mutual respect, no matter how up the hierarchy the person is, you realize that there will be a time that they want to participate. They want to be part of those games. They want to, is it tag of war or tag of peace? And then you find the boss there pulling the rope, and everyone is like, what? So it adds actually good value to the teams, the departments, when they see that the people they report to actually have fun.
Right. So it's very important. And all these things we're talking about seems to only be targeted at corporate spaces, but even in the informal sector, how can they also incorporate this into the kind of work that they do? So for somebody who has like a restaurant, they have their workers come and work and go home and all of that. How can they incorporate that? And I want to direct that to you, Melvin.
Wow. I never even thought about it like but then that's a good it's a good point.
Because of course those people too, their mental health matters. Like they also need a connection. They need to feel like they belong and all of that. So how do they do
that? Looking at the informal space, let's look at how some restaurants operate 24/7, like when it's like Monday to Sunday. So maybe they will just have after church and they have to be there. But I think one of the ways for them to feel belonged is to give them at least a day off where they can stay at home to relax. or what they can do is to maybe employ not more than one. So for a row, we have 2 people, so they can take some shifts. Then maybe create something like a team lead group where we have a supervisor in charge of maybe a group of 6 people. On the days they are off, they could do some small hangout somewhere, play some games somewhere. I mean, it shouldn't be too expensive, but then they should feel like, oh, I work at a restaurant where they prioritize me as a person, that I'm not in quotes a workaholic, but then I have time for myself. I have some time to also bond with my colleagues at work, even though it's an informal sector. But that's actually a great way to see it, because I didn't even think
about those people as well.
Yeah,
right,
also
okay, let me hear from Mary as well. Mary, what do you also think?
Okay, thank you for that. Honestly, I think that sector is always left behind, honestly. But I believe that as we are discussing here, those listening can also take 1 or 2 out of that. So I said with my brother, but to add up to all that he said, I think that in a sector like that, one way we can take care of the bonding is, to have some sort of celebrations, days that is the person's birthday. Maybe you can give the person a day off just to rest. All of those things, I think those are some of the things that will let the person know that my company or the restaurant thinks about me. Okay, it shouldn't always be Monday to Sunday, but if it's my birthday and then my boss is telling me to stay home, to rest and enjoy the day, it would also make me feel part of it. Another thing too is that it's recent that some organizations are trying, but that sector, in terms of training, having some sort of knowledge sharing, they don't do those things. But now some are trying to do that. So I think that those who are not doing things like that can also incorporate that and add it to make the people feel that though I'm working, I'm a waitress, or and like somebody who takes the money and all of those things. But my boss also thinks about me, thinks about some of the things that I think we can do to better place the restaurant in a good way. So I think these are some of the things they can do.
Right. I don't know, Mary. Sorry. Now, do you have anything to add to that?
So I only add that such businesses could start by, first of all, business owners building a culture in that space.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Nah, we can't quite hear you at all.
Hello.
Yeah. Let's try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You speak Letty.
All right. So I was saying that for such businesses, they can start by creating a system of empathy in their small business, where your staff or anyone that works for you knows that you are not using them in quote, but they are also part of the people you consider family, or the people you consider the driver of your company. They can also create a shift system where their staff are not working all around the clock, for people who run 24-hour services. So maybe even in a common restaurant or a boutique, you can have, say, 2 waitresses instead of 1. And in this case, they alternate. So this person works 3 days, this person works 3, so that the other person can have the number of days that they are not working to themselves. And they are not working 24 hours, 7 days, and it goes on and on and on. So they come to work always drained and worn out, and gradually it will tell on how they even relate to your customers. The moment you see that your staff are beginning to be snappy. And when we talk about informal sector, it even comes all the way down to homes, that house help in your house. What is the system of empathy that you have put in place to make your house help feel seen and feel heard and feel that they belong to your household? So they can adapt some of these little things, and then also again create a safety net for people that work for you, no matter how small it is. How are you to your staff? The tone sometimes our entrepreneurs use when they are addressing the people that work for them is a bit uncomfortable. And once people see that you are speaking to them in demeaning ways, in ways that dehumanize them, they may sabotage your company by also bringing their bad selves to the company, and you begin out on your profits. So I think it is not exclusive to people who are having structured mainstream form system, but even the smallest companies, the smallest shops, and you as the shop in the corner, it starts with how you are also even speaking to the people that patronize your company. So by the time you are employing someone, they see how you relate to your customers and they emulate that system.
Okay, right. Our time is fast spent. We'll try and touch on a few other things and then we can wrap up. Now, I know HR often deals with a lot of issues. I mean, cliques, favoritism, and even gossip. You know, how do you ensure that bonding doesn't create those divisions instead of unity? Melvin.
I mean, HR should be centered in opening up to people, like not personal life, but I mean open to the people, for people to come to you to talk about such stuff. So if people feel like they feel like they are being talked about and everything, I think HR should allow them to be heard through conversations and also respecting their privacy. But then I don't think it should affect team bonding, because when we come as a team, we put aside all differences. Another thing we can also do is to come up with forums where employees can talk about some of these things. So maybe we can have an independent person, we can nominate someone to sit in while we have those difficult conversations. It could be HR, so HR can have a forum where if I know I have something against you, we can sit on that forum and discuss it till it's all cleared and done. So it's all about the organization and what they stand for and what they believe. So
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Mary, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so to add up to that, what I would say is that once it's humans that are in the organization, whether formal or informal, some of these things are bound to happen. But if there's an issue where somebody reports the issue, it shouldn't be something that we are going to sit on it for long. The person might think that we are trying to ignore the issue or to think that what he or she is feeling is not valid. But let the person understand that what you are saying or how you feel is very valid. But we are going to handle it. And in handling it, ensure that you are doing it, you are not going to take so long, because when issues happen in the organization and it takes very long before it's being taken care of, that's when people think that even if I go and report the second one, nothing will happen, because even
right.
the first one, what happened, right? But if you make them feel like, yeah, we understand how you feel, and we are doing ABCD to help resolve that, and indeed you do it, they would know that yes, if something like this should happen, it would be taken care of. And one of the things that limits gossip or cliques and all that. Another thing too I can add is that sometimes in the organizations, when there are some sort of the people create some sort of cliques in terms of levels, so people would begin to feel that this person is a cleaner or this person is below my level, in terms of position. And so it's very difficult for the person to kind of bond with somebody like that. Now, what we have to do as people in an organization is to see every person as one. when you come to the family setting or when you go to your house, I believe that we don't see children as their kids and so they are not valued. Or you don't see your brother or sister who has not gotten that level of education you have as somebody who is not needed, or somebody who doesn't is not even relevant. We don't do that to our family members. If we don't do to, I mean, in our houses, we shouldn't also bring that in the organization. So these are some of the things that we can speak to the employees about. Find one way or two ways to help handle these gossips and cliques in the organization.
Right, very important. Okay, thank you very much. Let's try and wrap up now. But how do we measure the impact of bonding? Because we're just talking about let's do it. It's very important. Let's do it. But how can we measure the impact? Is there a way? Is there a metric? Is there some things we can put in place to measure it, Mary?
Okay. One thing I would say is that if you want to measure something, I mean, if you do an activity, right, and we are talking about impact, you need to measure it. Now, data, because of data, we are able to speak to the numbers and know that this is the percentage and all of those things. And so if you want to measure it, let's say after an activity, right, you can sort of give some employee survey where they'll give you feedback on how the activity went, ways in which we can improve. All of these things will help you measure it and to improve it the next time. Okay, because sometimes there's a local dialect that we say no, right?
Yeah.
And so you will think that you are doing the activity and it's going to help and all of those things, but maybe there's some section of employees who think that right? And so when these surveys are available for feedback, it would help you to measure it and to improve it the next time. That's the impact that we are talking about here.
I see. Right. Now, do you have anything to add to that?
They'll also add again to just buttress the feedback side is that if we make bonding activities or some of these systems as part of our policies, reviewing of policies is how we will know that this policy is working or not. So we can create a system of review of some these initiatives. So it's not just a one-off program that happened, but we know that we have a corporate culture of, let's say, empathy in this company. So we will create reviews of that policy of empathy amongst staff, amongst management, etc. And then that's how we tell that, okay, this policy is yielding results. People are feeling heard. People are feeling seen. People's stress are being managed well. And then it also gives us a direction on ways forward, how to improve of some of these policies in the workplace. So feedback is actually great. I actually wanted to say something about the how to limit gossip and all of that. I only wanted to add that HR should include boundaries in some of our corporate systems. That the fact that we are bonded and feel like we are together does not mean that we can disrespect ourselves. But if there's boundaries that are in place, people respect the boundaries, then definitely we are going to have a sane environment where all of us thrive as a body, as a unit.
And
but then respect out of human dignity.
And that is very, very important. I was actually going to ask that how do you draw that balance from, I mean, professional boundaries and also the personal boundaries? How do you set those boundaries?
So in as much as we can joke, we know discipline is discipline. And when we are being queried, it's not because we are being picked, but it is all part of the bonding. If we even bring our families, your parents or as parents, we will reprimand our children, but it is not because we hate them. It is all to straighten them and then to add value to the systems of the family. So the same with the workplace, that in as much as you can give your boss a high five, does not mean that you can speak to them anyhow, or you pick them items of thought you can be discussing in the workplace. If you fall behind on deadlines, your boss has every right to ask you questions that Why are you delaying? Is there a problem? And because we know that all this is geared towards our well-being and the bonding systems in the company, we are also free to open up and then share. But in places where we have to establish discipline or even query, it is still coming from a place of love and as part of the well-being of our staff. So boundaries are very important in setting the records straight. That we play, there's time for everything. So we are not using hours to just small talk and then create clicks. If we have to work, we have to work. When you leave the work and you want to form clicks outside, make sure that those clicks are not impacting negatively on the productivity of the work once you are there.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know if there's anything we were supposed to talk on that or you wanted to touch on before we go, Melvin.
Okay, so just to add up to the measuring it, sometimes the formal way with the surveys are also important, but then just right after a successful bonding session, you would hear a lot of approvals from employees saying that, oh, HR, you've done well, oh, we want more of this. It's also another way to measure it. Yeah, so basically that's what I wanted to add.
Right. Okay, how about you, Mary? Anything you want to say finally?
Okay, so my final words, right? Hello?
Yes, your final words, yeah.
Okay, so to everybody listening to me and to the entire team, this is just from me. In as much as we are in an organization and the goals that have been set for us, there are some duties, the roles, the objectives that, and some targets that we need to achieve. Okay, even with that, we need to also understand that the people who will achieve all of these things is very important. Okay, so we have to ensure that these people are in the right frame of mind. They are available, emotionally, physically, to help us achieve these goals. So that's just from me. And also, let's also accept and value each other in the workplaces, regardless of your educational background, your status, all of those things. Ensure that you are not looking down on other people in the organization. Make sure your colleagues in the workplace feel valued, they feel motivated, they feel that they are part of the family we are trying to, set. So that's just me to anybody listening to us. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me also give the same opportunity to Na. Maybe anything you want to say finally?
All right. Final word. Just encourage all corporate organizations, both formal and informal, that now employee assistance is becoming a key thing in our corporate space. And I will encourage that if you have the funds to employ a professional, a well-being professional like a psychologist, who can actually develop systems that promote well-being cultures and structure in your company, it will go a long way. The person doesn't even have to come work every day, but it can be an on-call professional who helps you streamline some of these systems and then to push the culture going. Sometimes your staff, because they are very comfortable with you, they are unable to share some of these concepts. But if there's an independent person who is trained to hold the confidentialities of staff, they are able to share more. And in areas where staff are in distress, that person has the professional expertise to deal with the stress, the burnout, and all other things that confront your staff, relationship issues, grief, etc., where HR does not have the professional expertise to treat those concerns. You will have this person on standby or on call who comes to attend to some of the issues and also helps in building the systemic policies that drive holistic well-being in our corporate spaces. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Melvin says he has something finally to say too. So Melvin, please do that, and then we can
finally, what I would say is the bonding starts from the top to bottom. So leaders should push and move their agenda steered by HR. So that's how I want to.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. Really grateful that you made time this morning to join me. I'm so grateful. Thank you. All right. So that's how we wrap up today on the Business Breakfast on Zed. A special thank you to my guests. What a conversation we've had this morning, and a very powerful way to wrap up the week. We're talking about bonding activity into the modern workplace, and Mary Ahima Dazi is an HR professional. Also Melvin Mauli SL is also an HR professional, and then Okaile Okainte, a psychologist and corporate well-being trainer. These are the individuals who joined me this morning to have this conversation. All right, so what is clear in our conversation this morning is that bonding isn't just fun and games. It's actually the glue that holds productivity, creativity, and well-being together. And there's a very popular quote by Maya Angelou. I'm sure you've heard it before. It said that people may forget what you said or did, but never how you made them feel. And that is the essence of workplace bonding. Well, a big thank you to my guest once again, and thank you to you as well for listening. We have very interesting programs coming up today. Please keep listening to Z101.9 FM. My name is Nitrebi Hammond. We're back again next week for more interesting conversations. Please do well to take care of yourself. And when you think Ghana, think Zed. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
It's all from Timberland.
It's Twitch on the track.